Ladies and gentlemen, you welcome to this edition of the primetime newscast on EQUINOXE television, live from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. Terrorists continue killing persons in the far north region of the country, rendering many others homeless, burning down villages. The last attack of terrorists in that part of the country hit the locality of Chakamari, where several persons were rendered homeless, and the parliament in the Republic of Cameroon, both the upper and the lower houses of parliament, hit back at the European Union Parliament for its comments or its report on the deepening socio-political and security crisis hitting several parts of the Republic of Cameroon, especially the northwest and the southwest regions. And out of the country, South or Sudanese continue hitting the streets in that country after the ousting of President Omar al-Bashir by the military. They are demanding a quick transition to civilian rule in that African country. Those were our top stories. Despite efforts of the Cameroon government and other countries of the Lake Chad basin, the terrorists who have been attacking inhabitants of several localities, notably in the far north region of the country, have continued their activities. And the last attack of the terrorists came on the locality of Chakamari in the far north region of the country, and several houses were burnt down, several inhabitants rendered homeless, and above all, over 9 persons killed. EQUINOXE has more.
This is the new look of Chakamari village in the far north region of Cameroon, a couple of days after a barbaric attack orchestrated by suspected Boko Haram militants. 95% of houses ravaged by the fire set by the jihadist fighters, leaving villagers in misery.
Presque le village, tout le village est incendié à 95%.
It was in the night of Thursday that heavily armed suspected Boko Haram fighters surprised the villagers in slumber. Some of them were held hostage, while others, like him, managed to escape in bushes for safety. Over 9 persons were killed, amongst them 3 women, a child and 5 men.
Premier bilan fait état de 9 morts, dont 3 femmes, un enfant et 5 hommes.
Dozens of injured others have been hospitalized at the Mora District Hospital. 6,000 bags containing millets and onions were consumed by the flames.
On a regardé l'énumérer toujours les maisons, mil, les haricots, les oignons, l'argent dans les maisons.
They returned at 6 a.m. Friday to retrieve what they could.
6 heures matin, juste quelqu'un dans le, il y a 1
2 trucks were also set on fire. Before the disaster on Chakamari, the armed men first of all attacked a checkpoint.
On est touché de cette attaque.
Elites say they thought peace had returned in Mora, but were shocked with the deadly and destructive attack.
Un déplacement rejoint le village. Subitement, ça arrive et puis.
An attack on a military base led to over 10 defense forces killed. This and failure to equip the local vigilante group members by governments for several months favored the attackers to be successful in their devilish operation.
Boko Haram profite aujourd'hui pour rentrer dans le Cameroun à partir de ces tranchées qui sont complètement ramblées.
Calm relatively returns in the Chakamari village, though victims still live in agony.
Cameroon's lower and upper houses of parliament hit back at the European Union Parliament for its comments on the current socio-political and security crisis hitting the northwest, the southwest, the far north, the Adamawa, the north, and even the east regions of the Republic of Cameroon. According to the upper and lower houses of parliament of the Republic of Cameroon, the worsening socio-political and security picture painted by the European Union Parliament in its resolutions is simply false. Details in this report by Fomi Armstrong Sander.
The reactions of Cameroon's lower and upper houses of parliament comes less than 4 days after the biting resolution 2019/2691 of the European Union Parliament on the Anglophone crisis and the socio-political and security atmosphere in Cameroon. On the Anglophone crisis, the National Assembly said it has always deplored the crisis situation and has made numerous calls for a return to serenity in the said regions, while the Senate said it has paid no effort to provide ideal solutions to the problems faced in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. The both houses told the European Union Parliament that they, as guarantors of the general interests of the people of Cameroon, are fully in support of measures taken by President Paul Biya to calm and contain the Anglophone crisis. On the EU Parliament's call for the United Nations Security Council, the European Union and the African Union to offer to mediate to end the crisis in the northwest and southwest regions, Cameroon's parliament said the country is jealous of its sovereignty and remains open to dialogue both within and without. The Senate and the National Assembly say the people of the northwest and southwest regions are suffering terrorist threats and the European Union Parliament should join forces with them to end the crisis. The Senate and the National Assembly also raised the issue of territorial integrity and the rights of individuals in Cameroon, with the National Assembly stating that Cameroon is a democratic state committed to its territorial integrity and guarantees fundamental freedoms, including freedoms of expressions, to all its citizens. The Senate added that President Paul Biya, since his accession to the helm of the state, has committed to establish firmly democratic and liberal states under the rule of law, which grants access to free expressions of individuals and collective freedoms. The European Union Parliament also raised concerns over what they call crackdown on demonstrators and arrest of individuals on politically motivated charges, citing Maurice Kamto and calling for their release. But the Senate and National Assembly in their outing reiterated that Cameroon is a state of law, denying accusations of human rights abuse in the northwest and southwest regions, unwillingness to dialogue to end the Anglophone crisis, accusations of crackdown on demonstrators across the country, and arrest and detention of individuals on politically motivated charges. Cameroon's parliament called on the European Union members of parliament to consider visiting Cameroon to see things for themselves.
And among the victims of the Anglophone crisis in the northwest and southwest regions of the country, women are badly affected by this crisis. Many of them have been killed, many kicked out of their houses, many forced into the bushes or in neighboring Nigeria, where they are now refugees struggling to live. And this has gone a long way to further reduce their already low participation in the country's political life. And non-governmental organizations are now striving to step up their participation in politics. Derek Jato reports on Boya.
Women constitute the greater number of the nation's population and often referred to as the weaker sex. But on the political stage where decisions are taken concerning them, they say they are not represented.
In Cameroon, women participation is below 20% for politics. Statistics have also shown that those who actively participate don't actively participate in the decision-making process. They actively participate in women rings that are involved with cooking, mobilizing community members.
The Anglophone crisis is another eye-opener, showing how women are trapped in the bushes, some desperate in refugee camps in neighboring Nigeria. Critics say it is shocking that even the sing-song of the solution and the creation of commissions, women are still not evenly represented.
We know the situation in the Anglophone regions, and we know what women are facing. But yet these women are not part of the peace building process. So it's imperative that we tell these women that despite their problems, despite their difficulties, they can still talk.
And this is where Mama My Mentor, a women political mentorship project, which is being implemented by Denise Meki Foundation, comes in.
So enable women's participation in politics and democracy, because we have realized many women are not involved, and not to talk of young girls. Many of them shy away from the activity of politics.
At a one-day training workshop in Limbe, these aspiring young women came up with their worries.
For a very long time now, I've been skeptical, that's the word.
And said they have a lukewarm attitude at politics because they have been warned that politics is the dirtiest game, and that game is not even for women. Some female politicians, speakers at the workshop, raised the morals of these female participants, encouraging them not to give up or to give in.
The push I want to give to those who will be coming to me for mentorship is that they should stand on their legs. They shouldn't be afraid of all what the men used to say, go back, go to your house, go and wait for your husband to give you a go-ahead. This is a time where a man and a woman has to come together to grow up a community.
To Emilia Epeti Meki, founder of Denise Meki Foundation, coaching them is the only sustainable means for their political dreams to be realized.
Women, and women again at the center of almost all troubled waters and away from the socio-political and security crisis. Another troubled water threatening to kill the dignity and personality of women in the Republic of Cameroon is breast ironing. This is a practice that is going on in some parts of the country despite efforts of the government and of course non-governmental organizations to discourage this practice, which is of course carried out mostly by other women on young girls in particular who go through traumatizing situations, and many of them live the rest of their lives with the scar of this practice, which goes a long way to destroying the dignity, personality, and of course the happiness of women, especially young girls. And non-governmental organizations like the National Network of Aunties Associations, RENATA, have been stepping up efforts to bring to an end the practice of breast ironing in Cameroon. For greater details, here's an extract of what Ka Quinta Ta, Secretary General of RENATA, told us. Take a listen.
2005, Renata did a study on breast ironing, and we realized that 24% of young girls in Cameroon have suffered breast ironing. And again in 2012, we did another study again after sensitization from 2006 to 2012. We realized that the percentage have gone down, has reduced to a half, which was 12%. It is still continuing. When we say breast ironing, it is actually breast massage. The practice that women practice on their children, that the breast should not attract boys. And we decided to term it breast ironing because it is actually a painful act, because they use materials that are not good. And now we are so happy that the Miss Cameroon of 2018 have decided to join us at this fight, to fight against this ill, which is a very bad practice. And we want to sensitize others and use this opportunity to tell the public that let them join us in fighting against this flu, because it is a very bad ill that parents are practicing in the name of protecting their girl child from getting pregnant, but we realize that along the way, even you do it, the girl child will still fall pregnant, even though you did that act. So it is a very painful act. It is a very bad ill. And now with the presence of the Miss Cameroon in our structure, who has decided to help us against this fight and have even decided to go with us to the field for sensitization, we are so happy about it, and we want to equally use this opportunity to thank the Cameroon government, because we have realized that in one of the school readers of Form 2, they have put a topic there which is breast ironing. But the problem we have with that now is that those who will be teaching those girl child, do they really understand the extent of it?
Now we're going to take you to the south region of the Republic of Cameroon, where the problem of inadequate electric energy supply remains a serious hindrance, notably to business activities in that part of the country, despite the fact that the Memvele hydroelectric dam has gone operational partially. It's Manjikan Gebre.
Business persons who use electricity in Eboloa can now go about their activities with little stress. Before, this welding workshop couldn't use all its 3 machines because of low current supply. But now it's a different story. This barber can also do his work without fear, not like before that power supply wasn't permanent. The changes observed in Eboloa in power supply in recent days is because the Memvele Dam's first 80 megawatts for the interconnected grids in the south region was officially opened by the Minister of Energy, Gaston Elundwe Sumba, initially scheduled for 2018. Then, the first quarter of 2019, the power-up procedure carried out from the city of Mbalmayo finally happened.
We are going to make a lot of economy in fuel because we stop all the units who use fuel to produce.
The new way of life, many inhabitants in Eboloa are happy but hope it lasts for long.
I'm satisfied that it continues in a good way. That's the way I'm trying to look for the future of the Mubele. Let it progress. Because at the moment, we are having a lot of breakdown in electricity in Eboloa.
Others are surprised that the power supply is not all around in the city of Eboloa.
Le département de la vallée du Thème, où se trouve même le barrage de Monvelo, ce département n'est pas alimenté avec un courant qui vient d'un barrage hydroélectrique.
In full production, the Memvele Dam is expected to add 211 megawatts to Cameroon's power production capacity in response to poor electricity supply the country is faced with.
Out of Cameroon, the new Sudanese military leaders have confirmed that ousted President Omar al-Bashir is behind bars, but protesters who have continued hitting the streets in that country are now calling for a quick transition to civilian rule, though they say this may not be enough to persuade them to leave the streets. In the meantime, Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates say they are sending aid worth $30 billion to the interim military ruling council. Katsi Euronews.
Amidst ongoing protests in Sudan, Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates said they're sending $3 billion worth of aid to the interim ruling military council. The new leaders have also confirmed that ousted former President Bashir is behind bars. The people on the streets are calling for transition to full civilian government.
There's still so much to do. You don't know where to start because this has been going on for 30 years. And to undo whatever that was done is going to take a long time and a lot of support. And everyone has to come in together, and everyone has to understand that it's not one person's job, but it's everyone together to come up with the same spirit, with the same attitude that is here now, with this sense of peacefulness and sense of brotherhood.
The protesters have vowed to stay on the streets until they get what they want.
Coming up next, Talking Point. We're receiving a civil society leader. Sylvie Jacqueline Dogmo is the president of the Cameroon chapter of the Women's International League for Peace and Freedom with Cameroon. Sylvie, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you so much. Good evening, Jonathan.
Thank you. You're welcome. And so we're going to talk about the reactions of the Cameroon's lower house and upper house of parliament to the resolutions of the European Union Parliament, notably concerning the socio-political and security tensions in Cameroon. When you look at the statements made by the National Assembly President Kavayege Jibril and the Senate President Marcel Nyadifendi, what can you read within the lines?
Maybe the first thing that I would like to say is that we are having a very difficult time in Cameroon, so maybe I will start with an appeal. I'm appealing to these two high personalities. I'm appealing to all the Cameroonian personalities to really take this issue very seriously. My appeal is not, I'm not trying to target one or other as being manipulating this, but I want to say that the Senate and the Parliament, when they represent the people on the field, the first thing for me they should have done by now, should have really put this as a point on the agenda in this house. I've never seen that.
For the past 3 years, yes, the Social Democratic Front has been pressing for this to no avail. And the same parliament says it is the guarantor of the people's interests.
For me, the guarantor should make sure that the issue is discussed fully. So that step has never happened. So I'm still feeling that they still need to fill the gap. Before saying that everything has been done, no. Let's start with first step. And the first step, being the guarantors of the people. Let them put the issue on the agenda and we discuss it properly. It's very important. So saying that everything has been no. So what are the results? Why do we still have all these people in the bushes? Why do we still have all these killings on a daily basis? Maybe some things have been done, but not the proper way. If not, we'll have at least gotten some very concrete solution. But today, we are still under fire in Cameroon. So I will advise them maybe to change the strategy if they feel that they have done enough. So let's change the strategy and see how this strategy can bring positive change.
What's your take on the fact that the parliament that is expected to check government action or actions undertaken by the executive is instead praising government, praising the President of the Republic, saying he has done this, he has done that, and they are supporting everything and so on, despite the criticisms that are coming from within and without, notably with regards to issues like implementation of military force on the ground and, of course, the management of the crisis as a whole. Parliament is just standing behind the President of the Republic, so to speak.
I am not surprised at all, because even we in the civil society, when we talk about this issue, saying that the issue should be addressed properly, given concrete facts, they will tend to be blamed including by those parliamentarians, some of them. And most of the time, for me, I see that everything is political, it's politicized. Like this crisis, why do we think that we need to put politics into the crisis? No. We should look at it very properly. I know that because of the way some of these people came into this position, they are kind of afraid of their position. But I'm very worried, extremely worried, because at this time, we are talking about peace and security, and we always know when a crisis starts, we never know when it ends. So it's very important now, for once in our history, to forget about politics when we are dealing about something so serious. So I don't think that the president, I don't know, maybe I'm mistaken, I don't think that the president wants to see this country fall. So the parliamentarian, the senators should really advise, play their role, spit out the issues that the population is asking them to do, instead of praising. How can you be praising the president or praising the government when you see that things are getting worse? No, it's not about praising somebody. It's about really trying to see what can we do properly, what are the concrete results. And because we don't have proper and concrete results to the crisis, it's good that we change the strategy. It's not about the president saying that they don't like him. No, liking somebody means also telling him the truth. It's better to tell him that the situation is not good. It's not their fault, and together we look for solution. But praising, people will continue dying when they are clapping and praising the president.
Are you saying that the truth is not spoken?
I feel that the truth is not spoken, because have they discussed it? No, I don't think so. Because if they gave an opportunity for the House to discuss the issue, they will have really brought the issues of the people from the field and come out with concrete solution and present it to the president. But now that the situation is not discussed, the issue is not discussed, what can they present to the president? No. Allow the SDF, allow the CRM, the civil society, and this is one of the challenges. The role of civil society is key. We, for example, in our organization and the network we have with other civil society organizations, we have even written to the government, because we think that we have a key role to play. We can voice out the issues of the population, but no or less attention is paid to our discourse. So I feel that it's not a one-side thing.
And even your work on the ground seems to be hampered by so many obstacles.
Seriously hampered, and then I feel it's very complicated, because if I talk about the framework, which we are working as women. We are working under what we call Security Council Resolution 1325. It's a very strong political framework that really calls on states to take into account the issues of women in all peace processes. So it was adopted in 2000 in the Security Council, based on the fact that there was
women were kind of shifted to the background.
Even not the impact of conflict on women and girls. It was recognized that the impact is really disproportionate on women and girls when it comes to conflict. And the second thing is that the role of women is undervalued, unrecognized. So that is why the resolution was adopted, asking the state to really put the women at the center. When you see the 4 pillars, the key pillars of the resolution: participation, prevention, protection, and crisis response. So it calls for greater participation of women in peace processes. It calls for the protection of women and girls in peace processes, for prevention, and also crisis response. We are talking about women from the northwest and southwest living in bushes. So there should be a mechanism to take into account how are these women in the bushes, how are these women in Nigeria, how are they being handled? How are they protected? Today we are still hearing about rape, women being raped on the field, meaning that they need to really implement the resolution properly. If it's really implemented, it will be okay. But the main challenge we have as civil society organization, we supported the government since 2012 to have a national action plan. But when now it comes to implementation, we are sidelined. Many other organizations are brought on board. That's not a big issue, but the issue is that at least the government should really know that the contribution of women is really very helpful. One of the things that women do in crises like this, they support the defense forces in terms of helping them to reach out to the other women. But now,
and of course, getting information from some of the women who are sometimes hesitating to talk to the men who come.
That's very good. Yes, because when you go to the field, when the military or even the men, simple men, go to the field, women are scared. Those who have been raped, they are scared because they see other men as their as threats for them. So the presence of women in this mission or peace process is very key. But we are worried that we have never been called, even though we asked for. when I say we, women, I know many of them in the northwest, in the southwest, in the center, who have really worked hard to have the national action plan. They don't, their issues or their ideas are not taken into account. At this time, we should have been called by the government, I don't know, maybe by the ministry, because the Ministry of Women Empowerment in the Family is the one in charge of the secretariat. We should have been called to really see how we can go about it. But the organization like mine, we really work with that and now push away to the benefit of other organizations. So it's a problem.
Pushing away serious and active organizations for others that are not very active, not well known,
yes,
for some selfish interest. For selfish interest. And then one of the things that we are also worried, when it time comes to work, they will call for us and even get our information, you see? And they use the information to even get some support. But when the support is there, no. I'll just give one example. The Nobel Peace Prize, Lema Bowie, she came to Cameroon last week. Before coming, she contacted the organization months before, and we had to work together. And she included my name in the delegation, but my name was removed at national level. So it means that but she was annoyed. She said, but you have been very part and parcel of this process. So I said, okay, this is an example to show you that the participation of women in peace process in Cameroon is still problematic. But at the same time, they brought other organizations in the process. And that's why you have been decrying the points that the efforts to restore peace and of course to promote peace in the country, notably in the crisis-stricken areas, have been politicized. Highly politicized. All right. Highly politicized, and it's a problem that we need to address. All right. The last word before we go. It's just an appeal. We know when a war starts, I'm just calling on all the stakeholders, the government, the civil society, the religious, the traditional authority. Please, let's come together, and the government needs to take the horn by the hole by trying to put everybody at the same table so that we dialogue and come out of this situation, which is really a crisis in Cameroon. All right, thanks, Sylvie Jacqueline Dogmou, President of the Cameroon chapter of WAVE Cameroon. Thanks for coming. Thank you so much also for inviting me. Ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. That's it for today.